guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Talk On Soon. It's me, Ogechi. Welcome. So how are you guys doing? Hope you're well and had a good week so far, or a good day, whichever one you wish to have. So for this video, I will be sharing with you 3 reasons why I didn't really support Black History Month, and I put the emphasis on didn't. Okay, that means before, okay, and not in the present. So this video is actually made for people who describe themselves as purely Black. Oh yeah, you got it. Black by blood. No, and not those that feel they are Black. So please, if you are someone of other race or ethnicity, I really would like for you to excuse us for a minute. Let me address my people, okay? So please just respect yourself and excuse us for a bit. Let me address my people a little bit, okay? And the Blackness, I'm talking about African, if you are from African descent. Yeah? Cool. Black African descent as well. Okay, so let's begin. 3 reasons why I didn't really support Black History Month, and these reasons are based on, I would say, observed facts, observed experiences, and lived ones. So let's begin. Oh, hold on, before we begin, I just want to make sure that people that are watching this do not take offense, but rather get some sort of constructive mindset to think differently and think more constructively in regards to the whole Black History Month, and do something about it. So let's start. So my first reason is about the storytelling of Black people. Second is about my issues with Black people in power. The third is another thing I observed, which is the oppressed trying to oppress others. So the oppressed trying to be the oppressor. So what do I mean by that? It means that you that was oppressed by other race is now trying to oppress your own people. Okay, so let's begin with storytelling. So growing up in Africa, obviously there was nothing like Black History Month, and for obvious reasons. So when I came to this country, and the first year actually that I came, it's a few months, the following month actually, after September, October was the Black History Month. When I was in secondary school, there became a news that there was Black History Month, and the Black students of that school, of the school that I was in, were making a presentation of it. So everyone had to gather in the hall. I personally was confused why a whole month has to be called a Black History Month. So I just went like everyone else. We went to the place, and they shared their stories, and they were reading out from obviously things that they also researched, and about Black slavery and how the white race oppressed the Black people. And in all honesty, I felt so uncomfortable because the way they were, the things that they were speaking about, it made me uncomfortable because first of all, like most of the people that surrounded us were white. Our school at the time was 80% white and maybe 20% or 15% Black, and then 5% like Asian and other race. So it really was uncomfortable because even looking at the people, the other white students in the school, you could see their face was so stern and looked so serious and uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable not because of the story was it good, not because they were promoting obvious the history of Black people in Britain, but the stories were so negative. And it was, they did this to us, they did that to us. And I thought to myself, like, if you're always saying these things, you're only empowering those people, maybe even the young people that never knew what happened, to even know that such thing happened, and then they can do it again. And that's one thing about the storytelling, is that although you're telling your story, people internalize things differently, and they actually can use that to say, oh, we had the power over you, then they can use that again against you. So that was one of my main reasons for being very uncomfortable. Well, come rain, come sunshine, everything finished and everyone went back. Even the teachers were so uncomfortable. You can see them trying to fake smile. Anyways, it's okay. So come rain, come sunshine, the session finished and we all went back to our thing. Now, years later, I still hear similar stories of how the white race, especially people of Britain or English origin, obviously went to Africa, manipulated and enslaved, and all the whole boat story and the rest. And I just thought something has to change. The storytelling has to change, and even if it's going to be the same thing, it has to have some sort of positivity to it. And maybe it's difficult to find one, but I just felt everything about the Black History Month was just so negative. And another reason why I didn't really support it was everything that they spoke about the Black History Month was American based. The civil rights movements in America, Martin Luther King, and every other civil rights movements that took place in America more than in Britain. So I didn't really connect with the stories, and I didn't really get the reason why we are so focused on America when there is nothing in Britain. And the funny thing, actually, there is hardly any promotion of the civil rights movement that happened in Britain within Britain. So why not tell us the stories of those ones and how they did it? And I felt like I wasn't even learning anything from those stories. It was more like they did this to us, they did that to us. What I was more interested is what is a strategy that actually led whoever that it was, let's say, for example, Martin Luther King or whoever, to come out to be that one person that is well recognized, to be the person to lead the group or a whole campaign for the freedom of slavery in Britain or in America, And I wanted to know what was the strategy, what did they do, who did they meet, how did they apply? Well, you know, there's so many things that goes into campaign, and none of those things are actually brought forward to us. Is more of the storytelling. He had a vision, he moved with his vision, now he's gotten freedom. It's not that simple, people. So that was one of my main problems. And again, I did not connect with the stories, especially in Black History Month in general, especially with Dr. Martin Luther King, because everyone always called him great. So do you understand what made him great, to be honest? And recently I watched the Real Housewives of Potomac. I can't remember how to pronounce it. I just got a glimpse of it. I didn't watch it for long, but within that short part of it, there was this lady that I think her name is Giselle or somebody, and her father was being recognized for his role in the civil rights movement in America. And when they interviewed the dad, and the dad mentioned there is something that the media never tells you about Dr. Martin Luther King, and that is his prayer life. Do you know what? Everything else I thought about Black History Month on that day, I watched that particular scene, it went, because then I could find something to relate to. You understand? I could find something I could like say, okay, that's a strategy, that's a helpful strategy that he did, that brought about the good change that has happened. So he spoke about his prayer life and how before every gathering, before every maybe campaigning on the streets that they did, they gathered in their group, and then Dr. Martin Luther King would pray, and all of them would pray about the success of that event before going. And that is one of my reasons why I never really supported Black History Month, because I knew very much that you cannot overcome such hardship and oppression without God. Do you know what I mean? You can't. Do you know, like, as a Christian, in the Bible, I read the Bible not just as a way of faith, but I read it as a book of life, as a book of instruction on how to overcome oppression and evilness in this world. You know, the Israelites, how many times did they pray and cry? It was God that delivered them. It wasn't you. It wasn't just because of your effort. It wasn't because Moses fought the Egyptian. It wasn't none of those things. It was because God came in and he listened to the voice of God. And that's where I actually then was able to relate with the whole story of Black History Month, and that made me want to know more about Black History Month. So let me speak a bit about Dr. Martin Luther King's life. I'm taking this article from Catholic.org, I think. What is it? US Catholics, and it's a published version. I will put the link below, by Father Brian Massingale. And he spoke about the faith, the prayer life of Martin Luther King Jr. So some of the things that he highlighted was that Martin Luther King often retreated in privacy to pray. Another thing he highlighted is that his ideal Christian beliefs, he knew that his religious conviction made him know that the things can be better. And it was the thing that gave him the courage to move forward, to fight. Okay, many Black movements of nowadays, all of them feel like they can do it on their own. And I know very much you're fighting a hard battle. You understand? You're fighting a hard battle. You can't just get up, gather a group and go on your own and think you're going to be successful. Before the success, there was things that happened between. So before Dr. Martin Luther King actually entered into his battlefield, he prayed about it. He got the vision, he got the courage, he got the motivation to know that things can change before he actually had the courage to go out there to campaign for the freedom of slavery or slaves in America. And he said, according to this man, he says his Christian ideals and religious conviction not only grounded his political strategies, but also provided a reservoir of courage needed to endure racial persecution, unrelentless harassment, and the constant threat of death. Guys, let's say, for example, if you're having a problem in your workplace, as a Black person, let's say, there are some problems you can easily solve maybe by complaining, but there are ones that you have to kneel down and pray about it. And I feel like that's one of the things that Martin Luther King did. And these are things that we need to be making more obvious, that before the fight there was a strategy. The strategy wasn't just to go out and gather people and talk to so and so. It had to start within. He called upon God and he listened to the word of God. That was what made him continue going. And then the man also mentioned that although he was very religious in his life, he never believed the idea of pray it away. Many Black people, I wouldn't lie, I was also like that, and also sometimes still like this, where you may believe like, oh, you have a problem, tell you to put it in prayer. You can't pray every problem away. God gives you people to help you move to your destiny. God gives you equipment to move to your destiny and overcome any challenges that you have. But we can't pray every problem away. And this is one thing about the most black people, especially those that are from before. Everything is like, leave it to God. God gave us intelligence. Please let's make use of it. He gave us wisdom. He gave us knowledge. Okay? He didn't just believe that about the ideal solution of pray it away to any personal or social problem. He took action, and that's another thing that he did that made me then realize that yes, any problem that you face and black people face in this world, it can be solved through prayer and action. A prayer is also a means of action, but you have to take physical action to make things happen. He also knew that prayer alone is not sufficient for social change, and is often used by Christians when avoiding difficulties. So he did a lot of contemplation during his prayer time. Another thing that he mentioned about Dr. Luther King was that he had a combination of prayer, intelligence, and sustained activism. That's what I just mentioned. All of these things have to encompass with each other. He had that together, okay? And he also mentioned that one of the most important lessons to be learned from Martin Luther King is his harmonized personal piety, intellectual ability, and social vision, profound faith, piercing intelligence, and compassionate commitment to the very quotes that I've had several times, to the list of our sisters and brothers, and informed each of us to be compelling in our own faith and spirituality. He goes on saying other things great about Dr. Luther King Jr. So what was my point here is that within the storytelling, please, can we start telling about the strategies to actually overcome? It's well and good saying this person is bad, but then how did the other people who made it through the trials come through? What was their personal life like? Okay, we need to look into those things so that we know where the secret has to start from you. It starts from your personal life before you actually can move on. So that is one of my things about the storytelling, which I felt like is often negative, and no one actually points out what was the strategies that were used. It's never published as much as just the stories that we hear, which are mostly negative. So we need to know, who did they speak to? Especially those who have won, how were they able to work in partnership? Believe it, black people didn't do this on their own. There was other people that helped them. There was other races that helped them. Who did they partner with? Who was their main supporter? Who was their secret person? You know, when the Israelites went into Jericho to find out how best to overcome, remember they went into that prostitute house. It was great that prostitute was mentioned in the Bible to sleep and find safety, because that was their alibi or their ally. We need to know who was the ally, who wasn't the ally. We need to know all these details. We need to know the gritty details. They need to be published. Whoever is a black author that publishes these things, please, you need to publish them. Okay, I'm focused on that topic so much, but the storytelling is so important that we don't just focus on the negative, but talk about the strategies and what is the way forward. What is the modern strategies? What is the way forward? Okay, let me not bore you with that particular part. So the next part is black people in power. Wow, my main problem with them is that I just feel like, I wouldn't lie, like this is my own observation and lived experience. Whenever a black person is in power, they don't make use of their power wisely. I'll start from like normal everyday things that you may observe and then go to the politicians. So for example, have you ever noticed when, let's say for example, you go to a store and an Asian person is the manager of that store? Do you see how many Asians that are actually employed in that job? Or even if it's a white person, do you notice how many white people are employed compared to the other race? what am I trying to say? Is that most of the time when as black people you are actually employed in a place, use it to uplift each other. Okay, use it to recruit your own people, to give them jobs, so that you don't have so many of us looking out for a job, so many young people going into drugs and gangs to make money. Another thing is, when you are in a position of power, do not abuse it, especially against your own black people. I'll advise you watch one of my videos of playing strong. It's called Playing Strong, a struggle of black person in workplace, black woman in workplace. I would really suggest you watch that video, because I just hate it when I find black people in power, rather than them use it to uplift you as a black person, some of them use it to demise you. It's like, no, people are fighting for their position. No, your position is there to help you uplift your own people. So let's say, for example, you know, is it Ivan Trump? I think it was Ivanka Trump, her husband. How many years have those people been married? How many months did it take for them to make Israel, like make Jerusalem a capital of whatever they want to make it? What my point here is that he advocates for his own people, even though he's married to someone of a different tribe, a different ethnicity, a different country altogether. The things that no other president could not have done or didn't do, he was able to use his position in that family to make things that his grandparents or parents have dreamed before come to life within a matter of months or even years, a year or so. This was a year, yeah, or 2 years. I can't even remember how many years. It just didn't take that long. I don't know how to say it. Even in the Bible, you know, the book of Esther. He knew her people were being oppressed, and what did she do? She gathered their people. They prayed about it. They went into there. When she went into there, every plan that was used to oppress his people were dead. Her people were dead. She was able to manipulate, in a positive way, the king's mind. Many black people that marry over other races, I don't know what they do, to be honest, because most of the time I see it the other way around. Rather than them helping their own people, I think they feel threatened, or I find them more in the inferior figure, to be honest, in most cases. Because I remember even like one, I think it's Chuka, the MP, can't remember if it was him or someone else, I stand corrected, but I remember when he was recently elected as an MP, and we were asked to come to London to dance, and we danced, and he was meant to come and obviously say hello. He never did. Anyways, it's okay. He never did. I'm like, babe, this whole event is put to celebrate your success, but the person never showed up. So that's, by the way. Just what I'm trying to say is, like, babe, if you're in a position where you can help your people, why not? Even this Meghan Markle that just got married there into the kingship, I think if she has any sort of blackness, or she feels any form of blackness to her, I mean, she says she's proud of her mixed race, but I don't really care what race she comes from. But since she has a little bit of black people in her, I'm gonna say if she is in that, she should use her position to help her family. You understand? She should use her position to fast. Let me not solve. She should read the book of Esther and know how to help her people. That's what she should use. Okay. Anyways, that's by the way. The next one I need to speak about is the idea of the oppressor being oppressed. It links to my last comment, which is when I find some black people, some of them make you feel so oppressed because of your ethnicity or the race that you come from. So for example, many African children that are actually in school are very, very uncomfortable to open your mouth to say they're Africans. Before, when I came here newly, it was difficult for you to find any African child, either born and bred here or even those recently coming in, to even admit that they have any of African to them. They used to claim Jamaicans. I never understand that purpose. I never understood it, and they were so ashamed of themselves in claiming those. And then as I grew older, I just realized actually there is a reason why they claim those things, because they are being ridiculed and abused by even the Jamaicans themselves, who then make mockery of them for coming from Africa, or even by other race. I think, we are honest, I would say it's other black people from other ethnic group or other country, other nations. So that idea of like, or even them themselves, even the Africans themselves, when they then become familiarized with their environment and become comfortable, they still use the same stupidity to oppress the newcomers. I don't understand that stupidity. Sometimes I wonder, do you guys even observe other races and see how they do things? Why they are making more progress in the diaspora more than you? I don't understand people sometimes. If I'm you, sit down and observe other races. See how they speak about each other. Listen to how they speak about each other. See how they treat each other. And they will have problems, don't get me wrong. In my university, no one of them had problem because they never opened their mouth to tell you what their problem was. I'll give you an example. At workplace, I had a problem with this black person, and she told me, obviously, like, it was just a one-off argument, to be honest. I never really had a major problem with her. It was a one-off argument, and after that argument, she told me not to say anything to other staff members who were of other race. And I agreed. In normal cases, I would never in my life actually share my problem with, or have with someone else, with another person, in most cases, unless it's something that has to be said. So I'm like, listen, don't worry about it. This is something that was between us. There's no need for me to inform other people. Guess what? Many months later, not even many months, few months later, and then she called me back into a kitchen somewhere we were, and then asked me, oh, did you speak to these people about this, about the argument that we had? I'm like, no, I never in my life opened my mouth to talk about it. And then that's when she told me that, oh, she told them about it because they were asking her questions about it, because a service user told them there was an argument. I was like, so you see, it was argument between us, it was not to do with them, so what did you say? She went on and told them everything. I'm like, so how stupid are you? Because what you didn't realize was that they were trying to use that to make us not like each other. Please, if you're a black person, have sense. Because in most cases, sometimes some black people I've met in my life, I want to change my race. Please, I never like call myself black. I never in my life had to call myself black. So I came to UK and they categorized me as black. I want to change. I want to start my own race and ethnicity. Seriously. Anyways, please think about these things. These are some of my reasons why I didn't support Black History Month. But now I'm learning about more about Black History Month and trying to understand more about other black people that I meet, especially those of different nations to me. So watch my video of what I'm doing during Black History Month. I think where I'm celebrating Black History Month and the things that I'll be doing. I'll share videos of like events I've been to, and also going to go to the Slavery Museum to find out more about our history and how it affects us, and how obviously our stories are often told by others. So it's about time we start taking stories into our own hands and tell it by ourselves, and tell it in a positive way that inspires our children to know that yes, if they meet this oppression again, it's not to blame and curse and demise other people or even other race. It's actually to find strategy or have to work with these oppressors of this other race that is oppressing you to find a solution to the problem and move on. Because at the end of the day, you are not going to move back to Africa. Let's believe it, you are not. Because if you are going to, you would have moved back. Everyone has a pipeline dream one day. I mean, I still have the pipeline dream one day. But let's believe it, it's not like I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black, I'm proud. Show it in your daily life. When you're in your workplace, work diligently, not the next black person or that next African person that you have coming into your workplace. You decide to oppress them or make them feel more belittled. It starts with your everyday life before you start going out there to campaign. That's why I never supported any campaign, because when I look at all my experiences I've had with other black people, I'm like, what am I campaigning for? Something that within the grassroots, where it is the problem between me and you, even in normal circumstances, you couldn't get on because of your stupid characters and foolishness and evil characters, then now you want me to support you. Shake it. Anyways, that's by the way, but obviously now I've come to learn more about myself and about like other black nations, to try and understand where they're coming from and their perspective, so that we can live in harmony. So if you're a newcomer here, welcome. If you're not, welcome. I'm done with this topic because I'm getting annoyed. Anyways, take care, bye. I'm not good what to say anymore. Just be good. Just be good to everyone, and there will be no need for all these things, because that's the reason why other races don't take us serious, because they know small thing we are able to, like, they're able to put us against each other. Watch yourself. I said, if you're a white person that then continue to watch this video to this end, or you're Asian, other race, God is alive. Oh, God is watching you. I told you not to watch, you're still watching. Anyways, that's your business. Take care, bye.